हरि हरि बोल। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवतः सेवया भगवती उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 24, entitled Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Text 35. Iti tasyam saha adhaya. Iti tasyam sa adhaya. Garbham Suryaha Divam Gataha. Garbham Suryo Divam Gataha. Sadyaha Kumaraha Sanjagne. Sadhyak Kumara Sanjagne. Dvitiyaha Iva Bhaskaraha. Dvitiya Iva Bhaskaraha. Iti tasyam sa adhaya. Garbham Suryo Divam Gataha. Sadhya Kumara Sanjagne. Dvitiya Iva Bhaskaraha. Iti tasyam sa adhaya. Garbham Suryo Divam Gataha. Sadhyak Kumara Sanjagne. Dvitiya Iva Bhaskaraha. Iti, in this way, tasyam, unto her, pritha, saha, he, the sun god, adhaya, discharging semen, garbham, pregnancy, suryaha, the sun god, devam, in the celestial planets, gataha, returned, sadhyaha, immediately, kumaraha, a child, sanjagne, was born, dvitiyaha, second, iva, like Bhaskaraha, the sun god. Translation by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. After saying this, the sun god discharged a semen into the womb of Pritha and then returned to the celestial kingdom. Immediately thereafter, from Kunti, a child was born who was like a second sun god. Translation with repetition. After saying this, the sun god discharged a semen into the womb of Pritha and then returned to the celestial kingdom. Immediately thereafter, from Kunti, a child was born who was like a second sun god. There is no purport for this verse, so I'll be reading a few verses in a series, and we'll discuss the 56th verse of this chapter. Text 36. Because Kunti feared people's criticisms, with great difficulty, she had to give up her affection for her child. Unwillingly, she packed the child in a basket and let it float down the waters of the river. O Maharaj Parikshit, your great-grandfather, the pious and chivalrous king Pandu, later married Kunti. Text 37. Vriddha Sharma, the king of Karusha, married Kunti's sister Shrutadeva, and from a womb Dantavakra was born. Having been cursed by the sages headed by Sanaka, Dantavakra had formerly been born as the son of Diti named Iranyaksha. Text 38. King Drishtaketu, the king of Kekeya, married Shrutakirti, another sister of Kunti's. Shrutakirti had 5 sons headed by Santardhana. Text 39. Through the womb of Rajadi Devi, another sister of Kunti's, Jayasena, begot 2 sons named Vinda and Anuvinda. Similarly, the king of the Chedi state married Shrutashrava. This king's name was Dhamagosha. Text 40. The son of Shrutashrava was Shishupala, whose birth has already been described in the 7th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vasudeva's brother named Devabhaga had 2 sons born of his wife, Kamsa. These 2 sons were Chitraketu and Brihadbhala. Text 41. Vasudeva's brother named Devashrava married Kamsavati, by whom he begot 2 sons named Suvira and Ishuman. Kanka, by his wife Kanka, begot 3 sons named Bhaka, Satyajit and Purujit. Text 42. King Srinjaya, by his wife Rashtrapalika, begot sons headed by Vrisha and Durmarshana. King Shamaka, by his wife Shurabhumi, begot 2 sons named Harikesha and Hiranyaksha. Text 43. Thereafter, King Vatsaka, by the womb of his wife Mishrakeshi, who was an Apsara, begot sons headed by Vrika. Vrika, by his wife Dhruvakashi, begot Taksha, Pushkara, Shala, and so on. Text 44. From Samika, by the womb of his wife Sudhamani, came Sumitra, Arjunapala, and other sons. King Anaka, by his wife Karnika, begot 2 sons, namely Ritadhama and Jaya. Text 45. Devaki, Pauravi, Rohini, Bhadra, Madira, Rochana, Ila, and others were all wives of Anakadundubi, Vasudeva. Among them all, Devaki was the chief. Text 46. Vasudeva, by the womb of his wife Rohini, begot sons such as Bhala, Gada, Sarana, Dhurmada, Vipula, Dhruva, Krita, and others. Text 47 and 48. From the womb of Pauravi came 12 sons, including Bhuta, Subhadra, Bhadrabahu, Dhurmada, and Bhadra. Nanda, Upananda, Kritaka, Shura, and others were born from the womb of Madira. Bhadra, Kaushalya, gave birth to only one son named Keshi. Text 49. Vasudeva, by another of his wives, whose name was Rochana, begot Hastha, Hemangada, and other sons. and by his wife named Ila, he begot sons headed by Uruvalka, all of whom were chief personalities in the dynasty of Yadu. Text 50. From the womb of Dhritadeva, one of the wives of Anakadundubi, Vasudeva, came a son named Viprishta. The sons of Shantideva, another wave of Vasudeva, were Prashama, Prasita, and others. Text 51. Vasudeva also had a wife named Upadeva, from whom came 10 sons, headed by Rajanya, Kalpa, and Varsha. From Srideva, another wife, came 6 sons such as Vasu, Hamsa, and Suvamsha. Text 52. By the semen of Vasudeva in the womb of Devarakshita, 9 sons were born, headed by Gada, Gada. Vasudeva, who was religion personified, also had a wife named Sahadeva, by whose womb he begot 8 sons, headed by Shruta and Pravara. Text 53 to 55. The 8 sons born of Sahadeva, such as Pravara and Shruta, were exact incarnations of the 8 Vasus in the heavenly planets. Vasudeva also begot 8 highly qualified sons through the womb of Devaki. These included Kritiman, Sushena, Bhadrasena, Riju, Sammardhana, Bhadra, and Sankarshana, the controller and serpent incarnation. The 8th son was the Supreme Personality of Godhead himself, Krishna. The highly fortunate Subhadra, the one daughter was your grandmother, purport. The 55th verse says, Swayam eva harihi kila, indicating that Krishna, the 8th son of Devaki, is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna is not an incarnation. Although there is no difference between the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, and his incarnation, Krishna is the original Supreme Person, the complete Godhead. Incarnations exhibit only a certain percentage of the potencies of Godhead. The complete Godhead is Krishna himself, who appeared as the 8th son of Devaki. Text 56. Whenever the principles of religion deteriorate and the principles of irreligion increase, the supreme controller, the personality of Godhead, Sri Hari, appears by his own will. Purport. The principles by which an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends upon earth are explained in this verse. The same principles are also explained in Bhagavad Gita 4.7 by the Lord himself. Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata abhyuttanamadharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. In the present age, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to inaugurate the Hare Krishna movement. At the present time, in Kali Yuga, people are extremely sinful and bad, mandha. They have no idea of spiritual life and are misusing the benefits of the human form to live like cats and dogs. Under these circumstances, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has inaugurated the Hare Krishna movement, which is not different from Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If one associates with this movement, he directly associates with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. People should take advantage of the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra and thus gain relief from all the problems created in this age of Kali. Thus ends the Bhakti Vedanta purport. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana-shalakaya Chakshurum-militam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. So here in this verse, the appearance of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is discussed. Why does Krishna appear? And in the previous verse, the purport Prabhupada explains Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. If you see, in the Brahma Samhita, Brahma says, Ishvaraha Paramaha Krishna. Brahma is saying Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what does Lord Shiva says? He says, Aradhananam Sarvesham Vishnur Aradhanam Param. So Shiva also says Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And what does Krishna say? In Bhagavad Gita, Mattah Parataram Nanyat Kinchidasti Dhananjaya. He says there is no superior truth than me. So therefore Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now, his appearance in this world is out of his own sweet will. Krishna appears in this world out of his own sweet will. He decides where to appear, when to appear, who should be his parents. It's not like our birth. We are not given the choice. We are forced to take birth in this world because of our karma. Can we choose our parents? We cannot choose. If you would have got an opportunity to choose your parents, what you would have done? Before coming to Krishna consciousness? Tata, Birla, Rambani, some rich person's house, we would desire to take birth. Now, of course, we all desire to take birth in a devotee's house. So, Krishna is not forced by karma like us. He decides his parents, he decides the place where he has to appear, and he decides the time when he has to appear. So in the purport, Prabhupada explains, it is very nicely explained in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter, about Krishna's descent in this world. So, we'll be reciting these verses from Bhagavad Gita, from text 1 to text 9, to understand about Krishna's birth. So please repeat after me. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Imam Vivasvate Yogham Proktavanaham Avyayam Vivasvan Manavepraha Manurikshva Kave Bhravet. The blessed Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god, Vivasvan. And Vivasvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind. And Manu, in turn, instructed it to Ikshvaku. So Krishna is explaining how the knowledge of Bhagavad Gita was spoken to Vivasvan. And Vivasvan instructed this knowledge to Manu, and Manu to Ikshvaku. So then what happened? Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sakale neha mahata yogo nashta parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it appears to be lost. Science as it appears to be lost. So, When this knowledge was received in the parampara from sun god to Vivaswan and Manu, then later on this knowledge was lost. So that is what Krishna is explaining in this second verse. So therefore Krishna is saying, Sahevayam mayatedhya yoga prokta puratanaha bhaktosi me sakacheti rahasyam yetaduttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend. Therefore, you can understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So therefore, Krishna wants to speak this knowledge again to Arjuna. So previously, Krishna has spoken to whom? Vivaswan. And Vivaswan instructed to Manu, Ikshvaku. Manu instructed this to Ikshvaku. Then what happened later? The knowledge was lost. So therefore, Krishna wants to again instruct this knowledge to Arjuna. So actually, last year we had this book marathon. Many of you participated in the book marathon. So I got an opportunity to visit Delhi and meet Sri Dr. Ambedkar, who had framed the Constitution of India. So I was very fortunate to meet him, and I gave him a copy of Bhagavad Gita as it is. And I told, you should have also incorporated the principles of Bhagavad Gita while you were framing the Constitution. You all believe this? No. Why? Huh? Why you don't believe this? Ambedkar is no more. Ambedkar is very, very senior, right? He had appeared, means he took birth many, many years back. Of course, I took birth after him. So people will have this doubt. So same doubt Arjuna is having. So Arjuna is asking Krishna now, Arjuna vacha aparam bhavato janma param janma vivasvataha katametad vijaniyam tvamado proktavaniti. So what is Arjuna asking? Arjuna said, the sun god Vivaswan is senior by birth to you. How am I to understand that in the beginning you instructed this science to him? So generally people have this doubt. So everyone will ask, people like us fools definitely will ask, especially about Krishna. So Arjuna wanted to clear this, that Krishna is not like an ordinary person like us. So therefore Arjuna is intelligently asking this question in the Bhagavad Gita. How will I know that you spoke this knowledge to Vivaswan, who is very, very senior to you in birth? So then Krishna starts speaking about his birth. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Bahuni me vyatitani Janmani tavacharjuna Tanyaham Veda Sarvani Natvam Vitta Parantapa. The blessed Lord said, many, many births, both you and I have passed. I can remember all of them, but you cannot, O subduer of the enemy. So Krishna is saying, Arjuna, that many births, both Krishna and Arjuna has taken. But what is the difference between Krishna and Arjuna? Krishna can remember all the births, but Arjuna cannot. Means an ordinary living entity like us cannot remember. But Krishna can remember what has happened previously. And Krishna knows everything. Then Krishna says in the 6th verse, Ajopi sannavyayatma bhutanam ishvaropi san prakritim swamadhisthaya sambhavamyatma mayaya. Although I am unborn and my transcendental body never deteriorates, and although I am the Lord of all sentient beings, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. Actually, there is no birth for Krishna. He is Ajaha, one who doesn't have birth. But Krishna is saying, though I am unborn, and Krishna possesses a transcendental body, he appears in this world by his own transcendental sweet will. So Krishna appears in this world by his own sweet will. So now, after appearing, what does he do? That Krishna says, why does he appear? Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bharata abhyutthanam dharmasya tadatmanam srajamyaham. So this verse is quoted by Srila Prabhupada in the purport. The principles by which an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead descends upon earth are explained in this verse. The same principles are also explained in Bhagavad Gita 4.7 by the Lord himself. So why does the Lord appear? When does the Lord appear? Actually, when does the Lord appear? Whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, or descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. So, when does he appear? When there is a dharma. So, to protect the dharma, Krishna appears. And after he appears, what does he do? That is explained in the next verse. Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma samstapanartaya sambhavami yuge yuge. What does he do? In order to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. So, paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrita. So, to protect the devotees and to annihilate the demons, Krishna appears. Now, if you see from verse 5, Krishna is saying, both you and me have taken many births. And in 6, he is saying, I am unborn. And in 7 and 8, Krishna is explaining his activities. So in the next verse, in the 9th verse, Krishna is saying, Janma karma cha me divyam evam yo vetti tatvataha tyaktva deham punarjanma naiti mameti sorjuna. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So, actually, Krishna spoke about his birth in the previous verse, from 5th to 8th. Krishna actually spoke about his birth. How does he appear and why does he appear and when does he appear? Krishna spoke about that. And he also spoke about his activities. Paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya cha dushkrita. So therefore he is saying in the 9th verse, Janma karma cha me divyam. Janma means Krishna's birth. Karma is his activities. They are not ordinary. They are divya, transcendental. So if we, the conditioned souls, get to know this about Krishna's birth and Krishna's activities, that it is not ordinary, it is transcendental, then we'll be liberated from this world. Just by knowing about Krishna, just by understanding about Krishna's birth and Krishna's pastimes, you will be liberated. So that is the glory of Krishna Katha, hearing about Krishna. By hearing the pastimes of Krishna, what happens? The soul gets purified. It is said in the Bhagavatam, Vasudeva Katha Prashna Pumsastrin Punatihi Bhaktaram Shrotum Prachakam Tatpade Salile Yatha. Vasudeva Katha Prashna means discussion about Vasudeva, discussion about Krishna purifies three people. Who are they? Bhaktaram, the person who is speaking Krishna Katha. Actually, the person who is speaking Krishna Katha, it's a seva. We are doing it for our own purification. So the person, whoever is speaking Krishna Katha, Bhaktaram, he is getting purified. And Shrotum, whoever is hearing Krishna Katha, he is also getting purified. And Prachakam, and one who asks submissive questions, he is also being purified. And Bhagavatam gives the example, Tatpada Sarile Yatha, just like Mother Ganges purifies three places. The place where she is born, and the place where she is flowing, and the place where she joins the ocean. So similarly, this Ganga, Krishna Katha, Ganga of Krishna Katha, which is coming out from the mouth of the speaker, is purifying the speaker. And it purifies the person who is hearing Krishna Katha. And it also purifies the person who submissively asks question. So, therefore, it is very important to hear Krishna Katha daily. And from whom should we hear Krishna Katha? We should hear Krishna Katha from the mouths of a pure devotee. We should not hear from anyone and everyone. Avaishnava mukodghiranam Putam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam sarpo cheshta yatapayaha. Actually, this Krishna Katha is considered to be nectar. Everyone can relish when we hear. Pibata Bhagavata Rasamalayam. But if Krishna Katha is nectar, why shouldn't we hear this from the mouth of a Vaishnava? It says, Avaishnava mukodghiranam Putam harikatamritam shravanam naiva kartavyam. We should not hear Krishna Katha from a Vaishnava, one who is not a devotee of Krishna. Why? The example is given, just like milk is nectar, correct? But the same milk, if it is touched by the mouth of a serpent, what happens? It becomes poison. So, when you hear Krishna Katha from a devotee who is having love for Krishna, who is a pure devotee, that will help you to develop love for Krishna when you hear from him. Your Bhakti Lata Beej will grow. Whatever bhakti you have, that nourishes, when you hear from a pure devotee, that nourishes the bhakti what you have in your heart. But when you hear from a Vaishnava, the whole bhakti what you have is destroyed. Because a Vaishnava doesn't even know. Many times people speak Bhagavatam as a profession to make money. So we should not hear from professional Bhagavatam reciters. Whereas we should hear Bhagavatam from a pure devotee who has got love for Krishna and who knows about Krishna. Even great devatas like Shiva, they also like to hear this Krishna Katha from pure devotee's mouth. There's a wonderful pastime of a devotee by name Pundanam. How many of you have heard about Pundanam? He's a great devotee of Lord Guruvayurappa. If you'd have heard this song, Krishna Krishna Mukunda Janardana Krishna Govinda Narayana Hare, Achyutananda Govinda Madhava, Sachidananda Narayana Hare. You have heard this song? This Jnanapana, this was written by Pundanam, who is a pure devotee of Lord Guruvayurappa. So this devotee, Pundanam, he got an opportunity for serving Bhagavatam. Actually, it is Bhagavata Seva, what we are doing. It's not Bhagavatam class, it's a Bhagavata Seva. So Pundanam got an opportunity to speak on Bhagavatam in one of the temples near Guruvayur called Kotiyur Shiva Temple. So he went there and he started the Seva of Bhagavatam. He had to speak on the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. There is a chapter called Talks Between Krishna and Rukmini. So he was speaking from this chapter. So the whole day he spoke on this chapter and he completed the chapter, and he took the page mark, like we have this page mark, you see. So he put the page mark at the end of the chapter. So next day, he comes back, he has to resume. So where should he start? From the next chapter. But to his surprise, the page mark was again gone back to the beginning of the chapter. Then he thought, maybe it is Krishna's will. So pure devotee accepts everything as Krishna's will. Whatever Krishna wants, he does. He will not think, why this happened? Like we all question, we all use our logical mind. We should not become very intelligent also. We should become very simple. Simple in our heart, like a child. When we chant Hare Krishna, we can actually realize Krishna. We are very complicated. We always use our intelligence, logic. Why this happened? So Pundanam thought, okay, maybe Krishna's will. Krishna wanted me to speak on this again. So again he spoke. Same chapter. Talks between Krishna and Rukmini. He completed the chapter and he placed the page mark at the end of the chapter. So next day he comes. What has happened? The page mark has gone again to the beginning of the chapter. So 7 continuous days, same thing repeated. Every day he comes, he would have finished the chapter. He comes next day, the page mark is the beginning of the chapter. So he thought it's Krishna's will. Okay, let me do this seva. The same chapter he spoke every day. And at the final day also he spoke on the same chapter. And he wound up and he started and left from that place. So he was crossing the river in a boat. And suddenly he remembered that he has forgotten his Bhagavatam book in the temple. So he comes back to the temple. By then the temple is closed. The temple door is closed. And he peeps into the keyhole of the temple because some bright light was coming from the temple. Then he was actually shocked to see Lord Shiva, Goddess Parvati, and all the associates of Shiva, the Bhutaganas, everyone was sitting there in the hall of the temple. And Lord Shiva was speaking Bhagavatam, the same chapter, talks between Krishna and Rukmini. So Shiva also spoke. He is also a great devotee, Vaishnavanam Yata Shambhu. So Shiva spoke the entire chapter. He completed the entire chapter and he took the page mark and he kept at the end of the chapter. And now, after finishing, he wanted to know the feedback. Generally, after doing something, we want to know how is it, the feedback. So he asked Mother Parvati, how was it? Mother Parvati said, yeah, it was good, but not as good as Pundanam. I would like to hear from Pundanam. Then Lord Shiva told, yes, I also want to hear from Pundanam. So he took the page mark and again placed it back in the beginning of the chapter. So, why Lord Shiva wanted to hear from Pundanam? Because Pundanam had that love for Krishna. So, whenever a pure devotee speaks Bhagavatam, that katha is mixed with his love. Like if you see, Bhagavatam itself is nectar. It is the essence of the Vedic literature. If Veda is a tree, if Vedic literature is compared to a tree, the fruit is compared to Bhagavatam. Now this fruit, Bhagavatam says, Nigama kalpataror ghalitam phalam shukamukad amrita drava samyutam pibata bhagavata rasamalayam muhuraho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha. The fruit itself will be very sweet, right? But if the same fruit, if it is touched by the beak of a parrot, it becomes nectar, it becomes more sweet. Similarly, when Shukadeva Goswami was speaking, because Shukadeva Goswami is compared to a parrot, because when he was speaking, it became more and more sweeter. So therefore, when we hear Srimad Bhagavatam from the mouths of a pure devotee, that will actually nourishes our bhakti and our love for Krishna will increase. So we should actually test. We should test this. When we hear from Bhagavatam from a speaker, is it helping us to increase our love for Krishna? Then yes, he is a genuine speaker. Now, there is one more incident in Srimad Bhagavatam where, can display the verse. This is a wonderful verse in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. All of you can repeat after me. Vatsan munchan kvachid asamaye krosha sanjata asaha steyam swadvati atha dadipayah kalpitaihi steya yogaihi markan bokshan vibhajate sachen nathi bhandam bhinnate dravyalabhe sagraha kupito yati upakroshya tokan. This verse, actually, the gopis of Vrindavan are complaining Mother Yashoda. About whom will they complain? About Krishna's stealing pastimes. So Krishna used to go and steal butter from the gopis' house. So the gopis, they always thought Mother Yashoda is very, very fortunate. Why? Krishna is her son and Mother Yashoda can feed her every time. But they thought, we are also preparing butter, we are also preparing yogurt, let Krishna come and taste. So they used to have this desire. Gopis used to have this desire. And just to fulfill this desire, Krishna used to go and steal butter and yogurt from the gopis' house. But these gopis, they used to become angry at that time. Of course, all these are Leela. Their anger is also love for Krishna. And Krishna is stealing. Krishna, you're a thief. But actually, Krishna was fulfilling their desire. So, the gopis could witness Krishna's stealing pastimes. So, gopis thought, though Mother Yashoda is very, very fortunate, she could feed Krishna, she could take care of Krishna, but Mother Yashoda was bereft of witnessing the stealing pastimes of Krishna. Correct? Why does Krishna will steal in his own house? Krishna will not steal. So then, therefore, gopis want to go and tell about Krishna's stealing activities, stealing pastimes. So that is what they are saying. So what is the gopis have gone to Mother Yashoda and they're saying, Vatsan munchan. What is this Vatsan? Vatsan means calves. Munchan means release. So they are saying, Krishna is coming to our house and he is releasing our calves. So Mother Yashoda said, you don't know, Krishna is Gopala. He cares for calves. He cares for calves. That's why he is releasing. No. Kvachit asamaye. Krishna is releasing the calves. Even before it is time for milking. So even before it is time for milking, he is releasing the calves. So what will happen? Naturally, the calves will go and drink all the milk. And when the gopis go for milking the cow, there is no milk. So then Mother Yashoda is trying to defend her son because she is mother. Then she is saying, he's a child. He is doing out of ignorance. Why don't you prevent him from doing that? So then the gopis are saying, actually, he comes to our house when everyone is busy with household chores, and he goes and releases. Nobody observes that. So how can we go and prevent? So it is not possible to prevent. Then Mother Yashoda is saying, okay, if you're not possible to prevent, then why don't you frighten him? Why don't you scare him? So for that, Gopi is saying, Krosha Sanjata Hasa. Actually, when we become angry and when we shout at Krishna, catch him, hold him, tie him, Krishna will give a beautiful smile. And that smile is so intoxicating, we forget everything and we stand still, looking at all his mischievous activities. Then Mother Yashoda is asking, why is Krishna doing this? Why is he releasing the calves? So for that, the gopis are saying, Steyam Swadhyathyata Dadipayaha. So what is Krishna doing actually? He is visiting the house of the gopis when everyone at the house are busy doing some household chores. So at that time, he goes and releases the calves. Now the calves starts running here and there. So what will the people in the house do? They all come out and start running behind the calves. So at that particular time, Krishna enters into the house because nobody is there in the house. So Krishna enters into the house, Steyam Swadhyati Ata Dadipayaha, and he starts stealing yogurt and butter, which is very, very dear to him. So for that mother is saying, and Krishna, he's going and stealing and he's eating. Aramse is sitting there and nicely relishing. Can you see any thief after stealing, sitting and eating, enjoying whatever he has stolen? So Krishna is with a butter pot, he's sitting and eating. All the gopis, they are unable to do anything because whenever the gopis look at Krishna, Krishna gives a very beautiful smile. That's all. They are unable to do anything. So then Mother Yashoda is saying, what kind of a people you are? You're so unkind. Whenever Krishna comes to your house, please give him some butter. Please give him some butter and yogurt. Then he will not steal. Then gopis will tell, Mother Yashoda, you don't know about your son. He has a special taste for stealing. Kaddu, yenadru tindre tuma maja jasti. So Krishna enjoys that stealing. You give milk and butter, Krishna will not take. Just like that. So then Mother Yashoda, so Krishna always wants to steal. He has a special taste for stealing. Krishna wants to steal and enjoy that butter and yogurt. Now Mother Yashoda said, okay, let him, he's taking some little butter and yogurt. No, let him take. What is wrong in it? What will happen? You have a huge stock. Some little he is taking, let him take. Then the gopis are saying, actually he is going and taking the little amount of yogurt and butter, which is so tasty, which actually we have kept aside for our husbands and children. So he's actually taking that. So then Mother Yashoda says, see, my son is very innocent. He actually cannot steal. You all are very clever. Gopi says, your son is innocent. They says, Kalpitaihi stehe yogaihi. Actually, who can be a more better thief than Krishna? In this world, can you find any better thief than Krishna? He's saying, Kalpitaihi steya yogai. Krishna has different ways of stealing, innovative ways of stealing. What is the innovative way? He comes to the house, in front of the gopis, he's releasing the calves, and in front of the gopis only, he's sitting and enjoying. Have you seen any thief like this? In front of the owner is stealing, and in front of the owner only is enjoying. Have you seen? So this is kalpitaihi steya yogaihi. In the front of us, he's stealing and he's enjoying. So then Mother Yashoda is telling the gopis, it's actually you're all fortunate. Your ancestors have done a lot of pious credits because of which Krishna is enjoying in your house. You're all misers. You accept this happily. Then they say, Markan Bokshan Vibhajati. So the gopis said, okay, we would have kept quiet if Krishna would have come and stole butter and distributed to his friends. He enjoyed, we would have kept quiet. But what is he doing? He comes, steals butter, and he divides the butter and he starts distributing the monkeys. And these monkeys, already they have eaten, their belly is full. So then what does he do? Sachain nati bhandam bhinnati. When the monkey's belly is full, and even one monkey doesn't eat what Krishna has given the butter, Krishna feels very bad. Oh, you're not eating? And then why should I also eat? I will also not eat. Then what does Krishna do? Because he is distressed, he will take that pot of butter and he will break it. So, Sachain nati bhandam bhinnati. Sachain nati bhandam bhinnati. Then Mother Yashoda says, so why all this trouble? Better you hide this butter and yogurt in your house. Krishna becomes agitated when he sees his butter pots and yogurt pots. So let us not agitate this, my child. You hide this. So for that, gopis are saying, Dravyalabe sagraha kupito. And when Krishna comes, if we don't find this dravya alabe, means if he doesn't find butter pots and yogurt pots, swagraha kupito. He becomes angry at he becomes angry at all of us. And he says, okay, you're not offering me butter and yogurt, and you're not distributing butter and yogurt to my monkey friends. Next day, I will come with a flaming fire and I'll burn your house. So next day when I come, you should give me butter and yogurt. If you don't give me, I'm going to burn your house. So after that, gopis are saying, so in this way, he threatens us. And if we don't give butter, one more thing he does. What he does? Yatyupakrosha tokan. These gopis will have small babies in their house. So Krishna enters because he's angry. He enters and he finds a sleeping baby. And he goes and pinches that baby, scratches that baby and comes out. So these gopis are complaining Mother Yashoda, and actually Mother Yashoda is relishing this. Why Mother Yashoda is relishing? What did we discuss now, the whole class? Why Mother Yashoda is relishing more than the gopis? Huh? Because whatever gopis are complaining about Krishna, that is mixed with gopis' love. So they are actually speaking Krishna Katha. Gopis are narrating Krishna's stealing pastimes. So we should hear Krishna Katha from a pure devotee. So gopis have so much love for Krishna. And when actually they are personally witnessing Krishna stealing in their house. But when Mother Yashoda is hearing from the gopis of Vrindavan, she is relishing it more than the gopis. Because that Krishna Katha, what she is hearing from the gopis is mixed with the love of the gopis, and it has become more and more nectarian. So actually, gopis, they were preparing all this butter and yogurt. Actually, they were anticipating Krishna, in anticipation of Krishna coming to their house and tasting this. So therefore, we can understand from this pastimes and the previous pastime, we should hear Krishna Katha from a devotee who has got pure love for Krishna. And Krishna reciprocates. Whenever you deal with Krishna in love, Krishna actually reciprocates. Today is actually Friendship Day. Krishna reciprocates as a friend also. Correct? You're all celebrating Friendship Day. So you should develop friendship with Krishna. Suhridam sarvabhutana. There's one pastime I would like to narrate and I'll end about how Krishna can reciprocate as a friend, as a son, as a lover, as a master. So there was one devotee by name Govinda Swami. Of course, after initiation, he became Govinda Dasa in Govardhan. His guru was Vittal Das Goswami. Vittal Das Goswami was also pure devotee, and this Govinda Dasa was also pure devotee of Krishna. And they were worshipping the Srinath Ji deity, what you see in Nathadwar. Previously, it was in Vrindavan. So this deity of Krishna, Nathji, had a friendly relationship with Govinda Dasa. He used to always deal like a friend with Govinda Dasa. He used to go out with Govinda Dasa. He used to walk around. He used to eat with Govinda Dasa. And whenever there is to time of Bhoga in the temple, he immediately come back because he has to be present in the temple also. He used to run back, Krishna. So Vittal Das Goswami, the guru of Govinda Dasa, knew this, that Krishna had a friendly relationship with Govinda Dasa. So every time he used to go out with Govinda Dasa. This happened in the 18th century, recent pastime it is, not very old. So once both Krishna and the Nathji, Srinathji and Govinda Dasa was walking together, suddenly Krishna developed a desire that he want to ride on a horseback. Then there is no horse there. Then he'll tell Govinda Dasa, I want to ride on a horseback. So Govinda Dasa tell, where is the horse? Then Krishna told, you become the horse. So then Govinda Dasa agreed, okay, I will become the horse, you climb on my back. So Krishna climbed on his back, and this Govinda Dasa is now horse for Krishna. And Govinda Dasa is taking Krishna as a horse. So after some time, Govinda Dasa wanted to pass urine. He wanted to pass water. He told Krishna, Krishna, get down. So Krishna told, why? No, I want to pass urine. Then Krishna started telling, have you seen any horse with somebody on his, when the horse is on riding, he will ask the rider, whoever is on his back to get down and then pass water. Have you seen any horse? No. So you pass water, I am sitting, what is wrong in it? So then Govinda Dasa, what to do? Krishna has told. So he was passing urine, and some of the devotees, Brahmanas, happened to see this. But they couldn't see Krishna. They could see only Govinda Dasa passing urine. They thought, what kind of a samskara this person is having? Generally, human beings don't pass urine standing. They sit and pass urine. That is a samskara. Only animals pass urine when they are standing. So these people, they went and complained his guru, Govinda Dasa. Your disciple has become an animal. He doesn't know how to pass urine. You have not taught him. He has not taken a kamandalu. He is not sitting. He is standing and passing urine. What kind of a samskara have you taught? Then this Goswami was shocked to hear this. Then, okay, let him come. I will speak to Govinda Dasa. So this all Godaka pastime over. Horse, Krishna has climbed on his horse, and Govinda Dasa went back to the temple. Then the master, the guru started asking, don't you know how to pass urine? You are passing urine like an animal? Then he said, I was an animal. What animal? I was a horse for your Srinathji. He made me horse, and he was on my back, and he told me to pass urine just like that. So I just followed him. I couldn't do anything else. So then actually Vittal Das Goswami understood the whole Leela, and he kept quiet. So this is how Krishna reciprocates. When you have love for Krishna, he actually reciprocates. And that love comes when we hear about the pastimes of Krishna from a pure devotee's mouth. With this, I'll stop here. Thank you very much. Few announcements to be made. On 31st August, we'll be celebrating Sri Balaram Jayanti. It's Balram Purnima. Shri Balram Jain Dev Ki Jai. So we'll have program from the evenings 6 p.m. onwards. We'll have special Abhishekam and dinner feast prasadam. And we'll be celebrating Shri Krishna Janmashtami on 6th and 7th of September, Wednesday and Thursday. Shri Krishna Janmashtami Mahamotsav Ki Jai. And on 7th, Thursday, 7th of September, we'll have Maha Abhishek at 10 p.m. We'll also be celebrating Vyasa Puja, the 127th appearance of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada on 8th September 2023. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So we'll have celebrations in the evening from 6 p.m. onwards. Devotees can prepare offerings, foodstuffs. Like devotees, there are certain rules to be followed, which we'll put up on the notice board. It is already put on the notice board. We'll also discuss. If you are chanting Hare Krishna, at least one round, you can prepare offerings for Prabhupada, nice dishes, and we'll offer it to Srila Prabhupada here in our temple. And volunteering, devotees who are interested in volunteering for Sri Krishna Janmashtami festival, you can register your name at the temple book counter. Thank you. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.